What's up? It's your boys, the Caffeines. What's up, Pod Fiends? I am Will Produces. He's Perk FGC. We are your favorite coffee sipping, armor grinding, loot cave storytelling podcast on the internet. That's right. This podcast is the #1 spot to hear how Perk FGC discovered the loot cave. It was touch and go between here and nowhere else, but I think we managed to eke it out.
You know, I'm just gonna make a stream. Like the next time I stream is just gonna be a loop of me telling that story. Honestly.
Yep.
I've now been incentivized to do that.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, the joke is that within the first 3 episodes, Perk told his loot cave story twice. But let's not focus on the past, guys. Let's focus on the here and the now and the future. Sir, the tradition is intact. Let us cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Clinking noises.
It's good stuff. I'm going with a large one today. I normally have
a
small cup, but we're going with a big one today.
Fancy.
What is this, 20-something ounces? I don't know. It's been a long day, so there's a lot of coffee tonight.
I might re-up after this to be totally honest. Yeah. But yes, we are the Caffeines. We are a clan of Destiny players that love playing with each other and with you guys. If you are new to the podcast, you might have jumped into our various streams across the week, whether it's us or Moose or Lucas or the Sunday Funday boys with Peter and Jared, but we're glad that you guys are here with us at the show. So this is going to be the one about Solstice 2020 edition. We figured we'd break our discussion up into like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to start with the positive of Solstice 2020. Perk, what is your good for Solstice?
So I mean, my good is kind of obvious, right? I mean, the ornaments are universal. Like, it's not the same as last year. We don't have to deal with being like, oh, I don't know if we're going to get to keep this armor set. They're out of the gate, straight up the rip. They're like, yes, this is a universal ornament set. Presumably, as long as there is legendary gear that we're wearing in Destiny, we can make it look like the Solstice set. Thank you. That's what we wanted. I think that's the good for me. The set looks awesome.
Agreed. For me, it's the free event of the season roadmap or whatever. This is the one that every single player gets to play in Destiny, and it works, and it really ties in with the 2020 title. I think if you just 30,000 foot view this event, it really has a lot to do with we're ending the year of the last part of Shadowkeep, so it does it's there to celebrate that, and it kind of does that job all right. There's no exotic that has to be disabled day one. There was a bug and with the ult multiplier for Titan. We'll get to that in a second, but they fixed it sort of immediately, so it shows that they're listening and they're being receptive. And yeah, I went around the Caffeines today. I talked to Lucas and Peter and Dan about sort of what their goods, their bad, and their uglies were about Solstice. And Lucas brought up this great point, which is, dude, the armor sets look amazing, and you can earn the glows in game.
That's the thing ultimately, right? Is you do have an opportunity to earn the glows in game. You're not just having to buy them. I will say there needs to be a much better way to acquire Bright Dust in game.
Yes.
I think there's plenty of incentive to purchase stuff. I mean, hell, when we talk about this all the time. This is almost as common as my loot cave story. You make really cool stuff. You make it something that I know is going to be valuable. When we found out that we're going to be playing Destiny 2 for at least another 3 years, I grabbed a couple ornaments. I threw $20 in there. I was like, you know what? Cool. My only misgiving with the microtransactions in that way, not loot boxes, just purchasing a cosmetic. The only gripe that I will ever really have with them is for cosmetics, because obviously not pay to win, but cosmetics, I just want to know that if I'm going to be buying something, it's going to at least last me a while.
Right.
I don't want to buy something. That's why I'm a little bit we play a lot of Call of Duty Warzone. There's some really cool looking stuff in the shop, but I'm like, we're going to get another Call of Duty reset. If we're
you
not,
are.
that makes it,
But also, the thing is, like, Call of Duty is cranking those skins out, like, of like high caliber quality every,
Yeah.
like, even mid-season they're dropping those like skin packs that are like super high quality just because they have the manpower. That's something we've always said about Bungie post Activision, is that, like, we can tell that there's definitely a struggle to put out the content that we want from D2, and there was that even when they did have Vicarious Visions and High Moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me,
It's
yeah.
not necessarily, like the thing is like it's not even like I don't want to spend money, because that's a perfect proof is like I'm ready to. I'm down for it. And there's a bazillion other people like me as well. The only real ever caveat to the cosmetics is just let me know that they're going to be good for a while, you know? That's kind of the only thing. Like, as long as they're good, as long as I have, like, perfect example, I bought the transversive steps for the warlock, and I bought the shield like slam thing for the titan, like the waiting pose, and I bought the worm husk vex eye ornament thingy. Because I love all those exotics and that emote. That's a great like waiting emote. I love standing there with my titan shields. Feels cool. Like I love doing that.
Could you
You know,
do it for us right now, IRL? Go,
I mean,
go
I
get the
do have.
shield.
I would have to run. It's in another room. I'd have to go get
It's
it.
above your mantle of your fireplace.
Shout out
Like,
to, yeah, that's where I sit like by the fire and read lore and stuff. Of course.
just
But no, like
smoking a
it's
pipe and reading
smoking a pipe
or
contemplatively
with the grimoire in
about
your
it.
hand. That's an
Yeah,
emote that we actually need.
I
No,
love
I'm
that.
I'm totally with you. But, like, those things are exotics and emotes that don't go away. Those
Yeah,
are permanent. Like, no exotic, as they've said, is going to be sunset. So yeah, those are like, they are inherently more expensive in game than the legendary exotics for sure. And that,
mhm.
like, that actually, I never really thought about, like, buying an ornament for legendaries being sunset,
Yeah.
which is definitely, a thing that I've done.
Yep, I have to. I bought the one for the shotgun from Opulence as well
Hmm.
as the Austringer, because those were two that I loved. The rest that I got, just from unlocking and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, the issue is with for legendary gear, it's fine. We're buying a look essentially, right? Like we're buying just a visual thing. It has nothing to do with the gear, doesn't have to do with the gun, any of that stuff. I think for Destiny, the important part is exotics looking a unique and notifiable way, so that if I see someone either in a raid using something where I'm like, oh, what are they doing, or a strike, or in Crucible, I know what I'm coming up against.
Hmm.
If I'm looking at a hunter and I just shot him and stabbed him, and I see that he's got Worm Husk on and he rolls, I then go, okay, he's going to be regenerating health right now. So I have to then, that's part of my play. It's part of my counterplay to it, right? So that those looks are important. Those things are important to have. And I get why they don't want to do like what a lot of other MMOs do, which is make the guns just you buy a look, essentially, like a cosmetic look,
Right.
and then you have that and you can just apply that to like whatever different things like that. But for armor, I think it's fine. And like I said, to tie this back in, the thing with Solstice, the thing that I'm happy about is that this is a universal ornament set. Um, it goes, much in contrast to last year's, where we basically got to use it for a month,
Yeah.
and then it was essentially outdated, and they were like, oh, it's going to be an Armor 2.0 version, which is great. And that would have been great, because that would have been armor that lasted us up until right now, this current 1060 sunsetting. However, they're not ornaments. They are just an armor set. The version that we got from Banshee when the new season started after Solstice, when we went into Shadowkeep, uh, the rolls were like at like 48 base stats. Like it was crap.
Yeah.
I don't, and I think it was pretty standardized across the board. Like you can't chase anything. Like there's no point in running more EAZ to open up more packages and yada yada yada. With this activity, you can. So right, so like if you don't have access to a lot of the other stuff, you can go and use the EAZ, grab a bunch of dust, make keys, farm chests, and that could be a way that you're farming gear, so to speak, in a way that maybe you don't, maybe you're a free to play player, you don't have access to all the activities that we would normally have to get that just overwhelming amount of gear. I honestly don't even look at what my gear looks like anymore. I purely just look for, depending on what class I'm playing, usually regeneration, like health regen. Was it? No, it's not resilience. I'm blanking on the
Recovery.
word.
It is
Recovery.
recovery.
Recovery. Okay. Um, so I'm looking at it for like recovery and mobility, essentially, and like intellect. Those are like the stats that I care about.
Right.
I'll spec in and I'll use mods to get something else if I like need to for a build. But in general, like I don't really care. I don't even know what stats they are. I was looking at my hunter yesterday and I was like, oh man, like I got these boots that natively had, I think, 27 mobility. And I was like, hell yeah. I was like, these are awesome. It was just mobility and strength. So I was like, that's good. That's good for regenerating my my throwing knife and stuff. And then I just throw ornaments on it, which is the whole big part is give us this is a good example, give us more quests and more events that just unlock ornaments. Imagine if the faction rally came back and you just had ornaments. Screw the gear, like drop gear along the way, blah blah blah, who cares? Whatever.
Right.
But really, give me that look. Give me those
Isn't
looks. That's what we
isn't that
want.
basically sort of what Warframe does? Like you buy
Yeah.
skins, you get skins, and then you really just fuck around with the mods on the inside.
Pretty much, yeah. The frames themselves have like a couple of like passive perks and a couple of active perks. But that's literally because you don't main a Titan. You are just you and you're in a frame and you just change with the frame. Like the frame is the frame, that's the character essentially. That's
Yeah.
how you switch characters. But the guns and stuff all exactly it works the same way. Like it doesn't need any of that stuff. So
So I think another good going back to framework that I've imposed in our discussion arbitrarily is that they've changed just the way you purchase glows. Last year, you bought all of the solar, all of the void, all of the arc at the same like per element. This time, you're just buying it for your class, and it automatically changes based off of your subclass. Um, and now, if you're only playing one character, you only masterwork one character, you're not wasting money to spend on all of the glows. Plus, there's the one that you can unlock from masterworking, which is like it actually involves some endgame content, which is good. Um, I think that all around, like it is a shift, but it's definitely a good choice.
yeah. I'll definitely agree on that, to a degree. I've honestly got to like I like that, but essentially by the same token, it kind of is an illusion, right? Because last year,
Mhm.
if you wanted to buy the last year they sold them in elements. So you would buy the arc, you would buy the void, and you'd buy the solar. And they'd glow faintly if you were, a different subclass. They didn't actually affect your if you were charged with your super, I don't believe. I
Yeah,
think it was just like
so
if your element was equipped or not equipped was the way that you got
correct.
the look. So
You got the look.
you got the look. It was fine, but I think it was kind of absurd. And you know what? I bought them because whatever. I was like, they're going into Armor 2.0. They're talking about ornaments. I'm sure they're gonna just make them ornaments. Wrong.
You thought,
Wrong. You thought. It's not. It's not happening.
nope,
So it
Chuck
just,
Testa.
I just, I like that's where we're going. I really do. I think it's a step in the right direction. And honestly, one of the things that I've thought about is because I've been really outspoken about it. I've heard a lot of people like, giving flack to Bungie about just ignoring last year's and stuff altogether. Realistically, I think there's probably some stipulation with the money and how it translated into they were still part of Activision. So stuff with the microtransactions and different things like that may have been part of it in some way. I don't know. But it sure as heck would have been nice to get something that carried over. I
Right.
went crazy not last year, the year before in 2018, going for the ship. I think Gino and I are the only ones with it. We talk about it all the time. But ultimately, I think last year was a speeder if you did all three characters. Ultimately, though, the thing with it is we just want to be rewarded for time. It's really it. That's the thing that we always talk about. We just want to be rewarded for time. Doesn't matter
Right.
what's going on, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how significant or insignificant you might think of it, as long as it's something that rewards the player's time.
Yeah.
Ultimately that's what matters. And I think the time and grind investment isn't terrible in this, but we can get into that in our next section.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Before we go on to that, the last two goods I have are the you can kind of glitch Stasis's glow on the Warlock characters right now. Why is this a good, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. The fact that you can do it, even though it is a bug, shows that Bungie is forward thinking. They have announced a subclass, they have implemented an armor set that is taking into account the future of the game. You know,
yeah,
classic Destiny bugs would be like, oh shit, well, we can use this armor that we got, but we can't use it with the new subclass or whatever. Like back when they announced Armor 2.0 last year, and we had to wait just a little bit. And then the rules that we got with the Armor 2.0, like, well, it's you only had one chance to get that roll, right? Like you got one.
so you only
Like,
get one chance to not miss your you only get one opportunity. So what happened was we could farm last year for Armor 1.0 versions.
right.
So that's what we could do. So you were able to farm. And honestly, I'm still getting little bits of gear in my vault that I'm dismantling that are still Armor 1.0s where I'm like, damn, I'm like, these stats are good. Like, what's up? And I'm like, it's Armor 1.0. I can't put mods in it. I can't do any of other shit. Um,
But it might have an enhanced mod, like my one-eyed mask from day that had the enhanced hand cannon. Stats were good too.
I had that, to be honest with you. My logic in that is I let go of it. As someone who is a resident, my vault is at 500 or 499 all the time. I've got to
499
learn
club.
499 club, dude.
That's an
Like I
emote we
kind of
need.
yeah, just the vault nearly full. Um, I don't know, like a lot of those stuff, a lot of those stats, I kind of just let go because ultimately I mean, I guess the exotics I could infuse up to current level, but I'm still the problem with it is like you could boost one stat, but you're gonna fall into a slump overall because they won't ever hit the max distribution that like Armor 2.0 can give.
Right.
Um, Also, you miss out on the masterwork capabilities of the bonus 12 stat points.
That
So
is
it's like
true.
it's good and it's not good at the same time. Honestly, if enhanced hand cannon targeting is the difference between you hitting your shots and not, just get good. Like
Damn. All
like
right. Shit.
that's just not I'm not saying just like you, right? I'm just saying
Ow.
like the reason for hanging on to it, like, it's whatever.
A
Like,
headshot. That's a one-eyed mask. Like, you wonder how that guy got one eye. The perk with his barbs.
I'm just saying, dude, like, it's not that big of a deal. And if it's really that egregious of you're like, it's the difference between me hitting shots and winning Crucible games and not, like I said, just get good. Just be
Well, I
better.
think it, any high-level competition is a game of inches. Not phrase,
For
but
sure.
like
For sure.
it's any advantage is an advantage nonetheless. I think for
Right.
me, the most good thing about Solstice 2020 is that Bungie implemented the alt multiplier. So it kicks in at different rarity levels. So once you finish one set for, let's say, your first character is a warlock, you go in for your hunter. You now have to do less of the grind.
I love that
Huge,
on the blues as
fucking
well,
huge.
purple.
Exactly. And yeah, and also this year we're not starting on greens. Remember when we
Yeah.
started on greens?
Oh,
That
did
sucked.
I? Yeah, it
So
was trash.
they
It was
did address
trash.
player burnout here in a way that like still requires a grind, still requires you to put in hours. It's not every hour you have until the expansion drops. So that is great. That's huge. And like I said earlier, Titan was bugged. Breaking news, CNN runner, they fixed it. There's a hot fix. Go ahead and reload your game. It happened.
Yeah, I still might cautiously just do my hunter first and then jump over to my titan. And also, I heard someone was saying too that like it's just the blues, like the purples were fine at the glitch.
But
So
you
I'm
do
not
have a history of getting
100% sure.
wrecked by hotfix
I
shenanigans.
do
So
always, literally, like last week. We talk about hot fixes and RNG. Last week, I raided on my hunter. The game was just like, no, you don't get gear. And I go to trials or raid report and I look and I'm like, did I do this on this character? And they're like, no, you don't get gear. So I quit the game, logged back in. They were doing the jumping the secret chest in right after the first encounter in Garden.
Mhm.
And I opened it before I restarted my game, went back to it, opened it again, and they're like, "Yeah, here's a helmet." I'm like, "Why?
Because
Like, why?"
fuck you, perk. That's why.
Yeah,
Like, remember when we
seriously.
played Trials the first time you could get Astral Horizon and you didn't get it because of the bug,
Yeah, that was
and we had
cool.
to wait till 2 weeks ago to get it.
Last week to get it, and
Oh yeah,
we barely just played enough because you guys hated that map, and I was
dude,
just
Worm.
like,
I hate Wormhaven.
I was the humans who hated it. I'm like, I think it's fine. Like, I think it's a fun map, and I was playing my Hunter for the first time. But I listen, I get it. I understand. Like, it's at least it's its own thing. RNG and I have a direct correlation connection through the atmosphere. I see the RNG with my Millennium Eye,
There,
but
there are two steps, two lines of footsteps on the beach. One is you, and the other's RNGesus.
yeah, stabbing me repeatedly.
Yelling in your ear, "Get good."
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into our bad. The difference between the bad and the ugly is just severity. To be honest, like it's not game breaking. It's just bad. Uh, for me, this is the biggest, most like crazy endemic problem with Solstice of Heroes is that it is the same as last year, with also the caveat that the activities to grind the gear up are exactly the same as the early season gear grind. You know, it's
Mhm.
do things like it's do a thing that puts you in Crucible, do a thing that puts you in Gambit, do a thing that puts you in Strikes, and then just kill shit.
Mhm.
Um, it's just mindless. It doesn't require skill. It requires grinding your face against the wall, and then the
Mhm.
EAZ itself. Like I was hoping for new bosses, like interesting mechanics, and while the bosses we have there do have really interesting mechanics that should be utilized elsewhere in the game, you got the like. You have one of the fallen bosses I was playing against today. Every time he teleports, he drops like one of those stun bombs, and
Yeah,
every time I killed it, it still went off.
it's
Like,
lovely.
so they have these ideas that are just like grasping at brilliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'm like, fuck, where's this in the rest of the game? And then also, EAZ is just not fun.
So, do you want me to? I have some notes about we were talking briefly about how we can make this better.
We're gonna
Like
go into how we
I have the
change.
notes.
Okay,
Okay.
I
All
do want
right.
to separate it out for you
Okay.
too.
Sure. That's why I'm asking. Because I have ideas. Because like I said, like I completely agree with you. I think like the event is just kind of boring. Like why couldn't this event also just be like the EAZ as a location and they just like all the spawn doors just open like
Mhm.
endlessly and they just have like a round timer with like a heavy chest in the middle to reset us to give us like a second? Why don't they just have an insane amount of enemies, load a 3-man activity with the amount of like like push the polygons, even make it a more simplistic environment so that you save memory
Right.
space and just flood us with enemies to just mop through.
I had this interesting feeling today when I was doing it with Dan.
Mhm.
That kind of brought me back to like Halo 3 ODST, the Horde mode, which was firefight.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
the key difference was I was afraid for my life in firefight. Whereas in D2, I'm like, I'm killing this, and like it doesn't matter. Like, it could be any number of
Yeah.
enemies. There's no tension. Like orange, yellow bars, red bars, bosses, majors. It does like none of the things until you get to the boss. Like all of those mini bosses are chumps, and they don't require any meaningful thoughts.
Nope. Not at
Um,
all.
and or like
Mhm.
decision making. It's sort of just like, are we gonna team up or are we gonna split up and cover more ground? Oh,
Mhm.
there's
Either's fine.
like it's okay.
Whatever. Whatever you feel
um,
like doing. If you're with blueberries, you're gonna just kind of go to them or figure it out. Didn't Firefight have limited respawns? If I remember correctly,
I think it did,
I think
and
that's part of the challenge because if I'm remembering Firefight, you can actually go for harder versions of it,
yeah,
like
there were different
the run.
different rounds. Waves gave you ammo,
Yeah,
and then you didn't have ammo coming back until then.
there's
Lives
just
coming back.
there's like 50 different ways that you can just literally look at this and go, well, they really didn't spend too much time doing this.
Also,
Like,
just the map. The map for EAZ is frustrating in a way that is not good for gameplay. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not frustrating like a jumping puzzle. It's just sort of like a giant horseshoe where everything is like 4 or 5 stories tall on the rim, and then there's this pit in the center, and there's like the hard part is going from top to bottom. Because there just really is no meaningful way to use the verticality. It's just sort of thrown there.
It's cool that there's verticality in it, which is something that we've not seen too much of in Destiny. That outside of like shapes and like rock formations that we really don't have to navigate as much as just visually look at as part of a thing that we could, the trouble is that we're not like Destiny does not teach the player about entering doors. Like that's not a common thing in Destiny. Go inside here. There's a couple of like buildings in the EDZ. Or in a strike, you're opening a large door to just progress through and progress through and progress through.
Or in the Trials map Cauldron, you are avoiding the center doors until you need to snipe the lane.
But arguably, yes, arguably that's still a big room. That's like one of like what there's like 3 doors total on that main room just to wall it off.
5.
5 doors. Okay.
There's two bottom and
2 low, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 doors. But it's literally one large room that has a bunch of stuff going on. It is outside the capture point, and it's where the heavy spawns. It's arguably the central focus of that thing. It used to be more of the other room in D1 because heavy used to spawn in that little water area, like on the back of that, for the sake of Cauldron. But Destiny doesn't do anything to teach the player about navigating inside buildings or anything like that, and that's what makes it kind of annoying to navigate. Like when you're on the other side, you're on the other side, and you have to climb up the ledges to like get around and over. I think they were afraid of making the structure too easy to get to, and I think that the only reason for the verticality to be there is to make the puzzle of grabbing the chests more interesting and more challenging, so that people aren't maxing their chests every single time.
But like,
it's literally artificial for the sake of being artificial.
Yeah,
and it's not fun.
There's just like there's just not enough entry points to the upper levels of that map. Like,
it's visually interesting too.
Yeah,
like it's a cool concept and a cool idea. But here's a thought.
Why is it there? Why does it exist, lore-wise?
Like, why don't they just take the structure that they like? If we're gonna go on goose chases, don't let me feel like, oh, you're jumping through the EAZ. How about this? Put me down on the street, like that one Solstice event where I was talking to Ikora, remembering memories after Cade died and shit like that. The Solstice after that.
When they went back to yeah.
Put us on the street.
Why are we talking to the people in the city?
You get like they've already proved that they can make the city like function. It's where we're at in the opening of Scourge. We're on the street. Like that's the same type of verticality that EAZ has.
It's the old tower, but like it is exactly the same.
In Scourge, when you start Scourge, it's actually the street of the last city.
Oh yeah. But for some reason, I thought you said 0 hour. And I was like,
they've shown, like, I would so much rather a cool lore spot than like, ooh, I'm going to the EAZ because my gloves or my helmet says I have to. Haha.
Instead of Jimmy Neutron brain blast, here's what you do. You take the last mission of the vanilla campaign, which had you fight through all of the Red Legion like things in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, flip it, and reverse it, as the great Missy Elliott said.
Yeah.
Start in the bottom, and then you do like I would rather foot race through that mission for nothing, to literally just like step on a glowy thing like that one strike everyone skips in the strike playlist, then do EAZ.
Arguably something that I have always said that I hated, but I've having played it recently, I'm like, damn, that was kind of enjoyable compared to other stuff. Reckoning tier 3 on the bridge. Make us hold a bridge or something like that. Building the bridge as we go across.
Make it Saving Private Ryan. I just want to be Tom Hanks shooting a pistol at a tank.
It felt fun. Like I have fun doing the reckoning because you're mopping up enemies that you can destroy, but the challenge is you're fighting them in a small space with a limited time. That makes it interesting. The way the EAZ works, I get that it's a free event, but also by the same token, like, why are we necessarily bending over backwards to make a free event accessible for like some players. I would rather make the game harder and help more players get through something that's harder rather than make it so absurdly easy that no one really cares about the content.
Also, like, just think about the new
Well,
player
AFA format.
experience. Like, the new player experience right now is
Yeah.
like Bungie has acknowledged that it definitely needs work, and this isn't doing anything for anyone.
No.
Like, who
No,
is this
it's not.
for?
It's not for us. It's not for veteran players. It's really not for new players because you're not giving them like the thing about it is if it was a way to just get good amounts of gear or amass materials that are harder to find, it would be doable. I would tell my friends that are new to the game going, "Hey, you kind of might want to grind this just cuz, you're going to stock up on legendary shards. You're going to walk away with a haul or, every 5 that you do, you get an exotic, whatever it may be." Like, there's no incentive, there's nothing for me to go, "Hey, this activity is really worth it." What I'm going to say in all honesty is, "Hey, if you want the pretty gear, run just enough of this to where that you can tolerate just to get it." Essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to our list of bads, I was talking to Lucas, like I said earlier. He brought up this really good point that the orbs generated during this event last way too short.
Far too short. Yep.
Like, it actually spawned this really interesting conversation we had about the perk, shoot to loot from D1 and how I miss it, and how you could integrate that into D2 because there's just so many more things that you have to pick up off the ground, whether it's moats, in the contact event, even in Gambit, that would change the way Gambit works. In Garden of Salvation, it would meaningfully change the way you do moat runs, because you could just mountaintop like harpies and then wreck loose up all the moats, but not really change the difficulty of like DP. And Lucas had this really incredible idea of making it so it gives you like half the ammo you would normally get instead of like running up to a thing and picking it up, because then it gives you a risk reward sort of idea for it. And honestly, I'm still thinking about that idea and missing that perk. And if we could shoot these elemental orbs as they come out to receive them, or if they just were automatically given to us as we generate them, it would make the game and the grind just so much more bearable. Because it's so frustrating to be like, all right, I'm going to pull out a sniper rifle and shoot something across the map, and it doesn't matter for Solstice. Like, it's inherently rewarding. Shotguns and SMGs and hand cannons and things that can get you within range in the amount of time that before that orb just disappears off the face of the earth.
Completely agree with you. Like, the orbs are an absolute headache. I find myself dying just to get them, jumping off the cliffs, throwing myself into crucible traffic just to go and get them. Like, because I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this. Like, I need to just get them done. And I get where Bungie's coming from, where they're like, you don't really need to throw yourself at this. You'll just get it as time goes. Just play the activities. Here's my answer to that. Hi, no, I won't, because I do not willingly go into the Strike playlist. I do not willingly go into the Gambit playlist. So no, and I wouldn't willingly go into EAZ. So no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't get these as time goes on because you're forcing me into 3 playlists that I, under no circumstances, would I subject myself to unless there was a specific thing that I was going to gain from it. I'm being honest. Obviously there's so much that we love about Destiny.
Oh, change the title of this stream. Hi, no, I won't. That's like up there with your Dr. Sus. I would report them on a boat. I would report them in a moat.
You know what I mean, though, right? Like, there's just like, and this is actually one of the things that I have, like, one of the core things for me is, I give a shit about the lore, and like, if an NPC talks to me, like, whenever Destiny grandma talks to me, Ava Levante, I always read the dialogue because I always want to see if it's different or like what it is. It's very nice and it's very meaningful for players and stuff, and it's just a good general thing to put in the game. But I'm curious on it when she actually talks about what you're doing for the solstice. She's like, take a moment, or, reflect and remember those who have come before you, and remember, your journey and stuff together.
And remember that there were Guardians playing Trials when Gaul and the Red Legion came and shut down the light. Y'all motherfuckers killed them anyway.
They gone. But here's my thing with it. Ready? Like, instead of Solstice being like, hi, go to the EAZ, hi, go do this, go play Gambit, go do this, go do Crucible, but go then get orbs, but then switch elements, but then go get orbs and do another thing, but then do this, but then use this, but no, you do this for this other piece. It's not even like, here's the strike piece, it's the helmet, here's the Crucible piece, it's the arms. No, they have them all like scattered across all over the place. And I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking about what Ava says, right? And I'm like, dude, instead of this like green armor to blue armor to purple armor to majestic armor and all this other crap, why don't we just start with legendary armor? Why don't you just give or you know what? Let's take a step further. Go from blue to purple.
Why?
And why? On the purple, just make it one really big long bar. Right? Hear me out on this. Forget the elemental burns, forget all that shit. Ready? I'm going to hit something right here. Make everybody wear the armor, because as someone who has been to a school where I had to wear a uniform at a certain point in time, when Iron Banner came around and we all had to wear the shader and we all had to wear the ornament or the emblem and we all had to wear Iron Banner gear to get the most out of our shit.
In school?
I felt together. No, in Iron Banner and D1.
Oh, okay.
It felt like wearing a uniform, but like we're all in it together. And it's like, yeah, it sucks to wear a uniform, but like we're doing it. And it's like, there's some tradition there to it, right?
People
do that. Make everybody. I did.
I went to Catholic school for a few years, and no one cared. It was like no one talked about clothes, because just like, what are we? Does it matter?
Like, that's the same thing. Like, went to Catholic school. Like, as I got older, I'm like, I didn't know about not wearing clothes. I thought those were. I was like, my friends. I'm like, you get to wear home clothes everywhere. That's insane. Like, that's an actually insane.
Exclamation point perk 3. I didn't know about not wearing clothes.
Right.
All right.
Right. So there's that. But what I'm circling back to is when Iron Banner used to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, you used to have to wear the gear. You used to have to put it on to get the most tokens or whatever it was in Destiny 1 for Iron Banner. They changed it. Now no one gives a shit. You see the
same
emblem
thing for factions. Remember, the class items used to determine.
I liked it because we're all wearing uniforms, and I'm like, what faction are you wearing? We would give each other shit. Somehow Bungie made us care about the factions the same way we care about football teams, like between Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and Future War Cult. They did it. That's a thing that you don't really see in gaming too much. Most people are like, I don't give a shit, about this, that, and the other thing. So you had that going on, but let me talk about the getting back to what I think they could have done for the armor set to make it more interesting. Make it a big old fat bar of just percentage. Make it so that you have to wear the whole armor set. Make it so that there's an emblem and a shader or something to where everybody's gearing up and we can all look at each other and go, yeah, like we're doing all this other stuff. We're doing this shit together. Here's where it gets interesting. Make Nightfalls have burns the way they did in Destiny 1. I'm not talking about this singe crap. No. I'm talking about burns. When you were doing double or sometimes like triple damage, Rainbow Week, Solar Week, where you would just smash through shit, right? It was good.
Smash and get smashed.
As a matter of fact, on top of that, what I would do, fuck all this, and make it work through all of it. If you want to go farm Master Nightfalls for those 3 weeks during Solstice, you're going to have a burn. You're going to take damage, but you're going to be able to give damage. And you know what? If players are going to no life a game for 3 weeks, I don't know, maybe let them play an activity where they kind of want to do that anyway, to go get the materials that you find in those Master Nightfalls. Because it's fun. It's fun to do something that's really fucking difficult and succeed and do it with a group of friends and nuance it and finesse it and get that shit done. Okay? It's fun. Second thing, ready for this? For Solstice?
Yes, I'm ready.
You're all about the new player experience. How about this? Ready? Make it so that every player can do every raid for those 3 weeks. Who cares, right? Maybe they'll end up buying the content that you're somehow going to actually put into the vault. But for those 3 magical weeks, make it so that anybody that picks up Destiny for those 3 weeks can go and run raids with their friends. Any raid, it doesn't matter. On top of that,
What?
Wait, there's more. Go
I have a
ahead.
question for you. What raids can you not do with the base game?
You can't do anything past anything that's on Leviathan. You can do aside from Crown. So you can do base Leviathan. You can do what you called
Eater.
Eater of Worlds, and you can do Spire of Stars.
You
Those are
can
the three
also
raids.
do Crown. I tested it actually.
Did you really? You have a free. You could do Crown.
My roommate does not own Forsaken. No, he owns Forsaken, but he does not own
Forsaken, I think, gives you Crown now with the way that it's done. I think that's the reason why.
Oh,
I think
Carry
Forsaken
on.
gives you Crown.
Carry on.
We can double check though. But here's the thing, right? On top of that, wait, there's more. Let raids and raid activities give you a multiplier for the orbs and the stupid shit to fill
Let
the bar.
freedom ring.
Just make the bar fill up. Let's do raids. Let's do, I don't know, whatever activity we feel like, instead of at least 3 of the 4 being things that I don't want to do, right? Like literally 3 of your 4 activities I don't want to do. I don't want to do Gambit. I don't want to do EAZ. I don't want to do strikes. Let me do activities that are actually fun.
I've just been informed that I'm a total idiot. Thank you, Moose and Dan. Yeah, Forsaken comes with Crown. I'm dumb. Anyway, moving on.
No, it's okay.
Moving on.
You know,
Wrapping up the bad.
Yeah, hold on. Alejo said he doesn't want to do trials. Why are we making people that don't play PvP do trials? Why
So
do they
that
need
people who
7?
do want to do PvP but are mid tier have people to play against.
So that's literally us. So literally, they're there for us to farm because we're like, good, more average folks to farm in trials.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, you know,
That's
like
not good.
they need to cut their teeth. True.
That was a rant, but you know what I mean? Like, just think about being able to do any activity that you want and having it be something that will fill up that bar to get that gear.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, hey, did you guys do 3 out of the 5 events? Because I have to go do 4 of the thing on this planet, but I didn't do that one thing, so I can't come with you again for that. But I already did this, so I'm going to do 2 of these. I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to switch characters and do this. Let me just have the base armor and let me just grind my face off doing activities I like. And especially during Solstice, make an event that's unique to the actual event, the event itself. It's only 3 weeks. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, let it just be whatever. And then make raids free for all players and make them have a shitload of experience that would fill up the bar.
All right.
I don't understand how it's so complicated. I'm ranting here, but I'm really passionate about that.
The pop off is real. I mean, we're blowing through all the points, but we're getting back. Last further the bad before we get into the ugly is microtrans in general. We talked about how the shift they made is better, is good compared to last year. However, still buying the glows per class is kind of dumb. Like it's not an armor set where the models are different. It's blue. It's orange. It's purple. Yeah. And then for stasis, which you can glitch in, it's a different blue. like, come on. Yeah. Is there any real reason, like, why is that glow something we have to buy with not only like silver or bright dust, but like someone brought up to me, you know, if you do all of the bright dust bounties between here and the end of Solstice, you can afford the glow and the armor set. But does that take into account the fact that you have to buy? Well, like, is that just for one character? Like, it's still it's not enough goodwill towards the community, towards the people who like purchase silver on a regular basis to buy things, because that's not the only thing that's gonna be purchasable through silver. Like, there's a lot of really great cosmetics in the store from Solstice starting.
A lot of emotes and stuff. Yeah.
And skins for things and dude, like the emote or the finisher with the Iron Lord. Someone was in chat was saying earlier, like they made a shit ton of money just off that emote. And like, yes, those things will like rotate into the store for bright dust, but if you started at 0 and you're saving that all the way up for your glows, there's no room in your in that allowance that we're getting from Bungie to say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the glows and I'm gonna get this emote of me slamming an enemy to death with an Iron Lord's axe, or the ship, dude. The ship looks amazing. Why is that what?
The ship is amazing. Like, ship's unbelievably good looking.
Why? That should be the all three characters reward, and I would literally for that ship, I would grind the whole thing from green to majestic on all 3 characters with no bonus. That's how good that thing looks.
That's literally what Chino and I did 2 summers ago for the other ship, because it looks really cool. It's a cool ship. Moose is saying, chat too, why is the Iron Banner finisher not tied to Iron Banner at all?
Yeah.
It's not even out during Iron Banner week.
You can't use finishers in Iron Banner. Think about that.
No. What? There's just so many things that just feel so disjointed that I don't know if they're just kind of getting everything out that needs to get out, or what their whole strategy is. I constantly feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I really feel like I'm just I'm screaming, I'm you're almost there. You're so close.
It's the uncanny valley of
close to working out really, really well.
Yeah, this looks amazing. We've been asking for stuff that looks amazing. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to spend $10 on a ship.
Yeah, exactly. Why do we need to feel like we're gonna spend $10 on a ship? A big thing for me as well is stuff like Moose and I were playing Destiny 1 the other day. And I was looking through the stuff, and we're going through it and realizing that Destiny 1 is kind of where Triumphs began and everything. But
the records book?
The books. Here's the thing about the books that I loved. Everything was condensed into the book. If you were looking to get SRL gear or Iron Lord's gear or guns or ornaments or whatever, you went into that book and you looked at the activity. You didn't have this ambiguous sheet of just stuff mixed with bounties and quests, or pieces, or a thing. A lot of the new players are hi, what's this Legend of Acrius? I can't move it to my vault. And I'm oh,
no,
right.
I won't.
Yeah, sorry. Hi, no, I won't. So it's just so congested, convoluted. My fear is that it could take a while before we see a real true refresh of the stuff. But I think it's stuff like that that actually is detrimental to understanding the game. Because my friends that are playing are this game is confusing as shit, but you know what? It's really fun to play. So I get why you guys spend all this time playing it. It's yeah, of course.
Quick question to chat. Dan is saying they took the Eververse ornaments from this season and made them available in game. Does that include the ships in bright engrams? The Dido armor.
Oh, that's good.
That's fine.
Honestly, that's good. That's a good set. I like that set is in the I like that set's in the dungeon. I think that's a great place for it. Yeah, that's good. And honestly, I don't even mind buying armor sets.
So here's clarification. The Dido armor was supposed to be an Eververse item. They just took it out of the Eververse and put it in Prophecy so you could earn it.
Okay, yeah,
that's fine.
That's good.
Yeah, honestly, if we could. When transmog hits, it's going to solve a lot of problems. Because grinding out these armor sets so that you can have these looks to put them on other things, that's sort of a big... we all know we're playing Destiny 2.
Of course we are.
We want to look cool and we want to have good stats. And honestly, I think a lot of players, and except for the top echelon of players, are going to prefer to look better over having optimized mobility versus resilience or whatever. So Gino says we did it for the drip.
It's all about the drip. It's all about the drip.
Yeah,
iced out in the raid jackets. I feel it. But anyway, the thing is, sorry. I just want to make this one other point. With the the prophecy set, that's awesome. My thing too is I don't mind paying for stuff. I have actually been playing. You guys know that I'm Titan for life. We represent all day eating crayons, baby. But my thing is I've been playing a lot of Hunter recently, and I was you know what my Hunter lacks? Some fucking drip. And so I looked in the store and I'm there.
Yes, I would like to purchase the Swagoo
I would like to purchase the drip. I would like to have it. Can I be iced out? But I saw this cool ornament set, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like that. I I want my hunter to look cool, and I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? They have that rotation where like everything's like a couple bucks off or whatever, and I was like, if that ornament set goes on there, I was like, I'm gonna snatch it, and I might even just snatch it before the season's up anyway, just to
I,
have it
I
because I
think
like it. I don't have a problem
yeah,
buying ornaments.
it's just
I just
the
haven't
ratio, right?
it's honestly like the ratio is better now. And I still think they're going to live with the stigma of how it was. And especially the fact that this is something that a lot of people forgot about. Um, the Garden of Salvation armor set was literally an exact copy of the Eververse set from the whatever the Osiris expansion was. It's literally that set with like glowy stuff on it. Granted, it looks better and it's got great stats and it's stuff that it's going to carry forward into the game. But I don't, I don't mind any of that stuff. It's just that like some of those creaky doors start to get really noticeable when all of them creak. Does that analogy
Yeah,
make sense?
100%. I
Like
think so.
each thing.
When I'm thinking about just like armor sets in Eververse, there's two problems. It's just the amount of like armor sets that you can acquire from purchasing versus the amount of like ornaments you can get from just playing the game.
Mhm.
And then the second thing is that the armor sets that you can buy objectively look cooler than the stuff you can get in game,
For
or
sure.
they're close to the stuff you can get in game.
Yeah.
And the season's armor sets, like the from the season pass, those have done a little bit. Like I'm not sure where you stand on that because it is technically paid content, but also it's not like it's
I
it's
honestly,
season pass content you have to earn that you paid
I
for.
I don't mind the season pass at all. I think realistically there needs to be a couple more freebies along the way. I think realistically the grind up to 50 should be kind of what they're looking to get the main stuff out of. And 50 is the exotic if you're a free to play player. I think that's a realistic level to get to. I don't think hitting 50 is anything near difficult.
Yeah.
If you're playing enough in a season.
Here's an interesting thing about season passes in other games is they give you back basically the entire worth of what you paid for in the currency of that game. So like Fortnite will give you V-Bucks, but not if you're on iOS now. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone is the same thing, and I
COD
love that.
points.
And honestly, there's been seasons of Warzone that I've bought. You throw the $10 at it, and you're like, I'm like, I made $7 back. Whatever, I'll give them another couple bucks to go for it. Maybe I'll only make $5 back in the following season, depending on how busy I am or something. But you don't feel bad about that because you're like, at least I'm getting some value alongside all this other stuff.
Mhm.
Like all of these things, like together, work really well, and they're good.
Right.
Like, it's fine, like, it's good, like, none of that stuff is imbalanced. I would like to see more of that in Destiny. Those XP bonuses being nodes on the checklist, I think are a little silly. I think those should just be things that you just get to at, like, a tier threshold. I think ultimately the difficulty with Destiny is that and a lot of other MMOs, rare or uncommon gear still maintains value along the way. And I don't want to rehash because we had an entire podcast for those of you who are interested in our thoughts on comparing Destiny as an MMO. It should be up on our YouTube as well as Spotify.
It's
But
episode
uh,
6.
episode 6, the thing about it is that like you feel overly incentivized to do one or two very specific things, and it just ends up being a rough thing.
Right,
You know,
100%.
you just feel kind of burned out on it. So let's move on. Let's go
Yes.
with the next topic.
Now
'Cause
we got to go deeper
on
in
fire.
deeper into the salt. We have gone past the good, shot past the bad. We're entering
Ready.
the ugly part of Solstice, the really bad things. Let's start off light in the ugly thing. People
Okay.
are AFKing to progress their games in Gambit. So to like one of the goals in the Gambit part of your armor set is like just Gambit matches, right?
Mhm.
Gambit completions. And that doesn't like the reason why people aren't doing that in Crucible, or they might be, but who knows, is because you actually have to pick up orbs in Crucible and get kills in Crucible to get the the progression on the armor there. It's like kind of a huge oversight. I know Lucas and Moose earlier were expressing frustration over the fact they were loading into games and just people were not moving and just AFK macroing. That is like when the event disrupts the flow of the game and also like it's two bad things. A, oversight on the event, and it just goes to show that people don't like you.
Hi, no. Again, to quote myself again. Yeah, exactly. You're forcing people to play a thing that you don't want to do. That is where like it's hard for me to let go of this point where I'm like, just let me do
Here's the thing.
whatever I want.
Question for you. And we'll rekey into this when we go into our discussion of how we fix Solstice from our armchairs. More cushy, at home, not working for Bungie chairs. If there was like a base majestic level armor set that looked cool that you got from doing whatever you want, and then there was not only a specialized armor set that you got from Gambit, like just an ornament or a different color glow that you got from Gambit, would you still say that is forcing you to play Gambit if you're like if you wanted just to get completionisty about it?
Not at all. Twofold answer. One, that's a bonus incentive. That's a stretch goal to me. I look at that as a stretch goal. So I'm like, fine with that. I don't care. Two, you're going to be in it with Gambit with people that want to get that glow. So they're going to be playing with it.
Yep. Cool.
Right? Same reason with people getting Hush, right? Hush isn't that good, and you kind of have to be a jobber using just bows for a while, which like sucks for Gambit. Like I get it. It's not the most intuitive thing. It's probably easier now with Trinity Ghouls Catalyst. But you're still there doing the activity. You're doing the thing. And you're doing it of your own volition. You're not forced into it. Just for drill purposes. So it's literally what it feels like is actually for a drill.
All right, so now I'm going to queue up perk rant mode. We need an exclamation point perk rant command, Moose, because we're going to start talking about how Bungie handled the concerns about last year's gear and purchases from the microtrans. I'm going to get out of the way, out of the blast zone, and... Oh.
Okay, so, hi. No. Last year, we had to buy ornaments that went into the Solstice gear, and you gave us Solstice gear that was version 1.0 that we then had to go for 2.0. We mentioned this earlier that the rolls were absolute dog shit. So they were basically moot point to running them in the entirety of the year that they were functional for, which by the way, they sunset at 1060. So as of the next expansion, they are going to be obsolete. You will not be able to infuse them or use them for anything else going on. Two, last year you had to people buying arc ornaments, solar ornaments, and or glows, sorry. And then literally they're not useful on anything else. We were talking about it during that event. I remember being like, I'm hoping that we can get these to go somewhere else. I'm hoping these aren't just like something that I'm paying for right now, but like, maybe I'll just do it anyway. Cause I'm like, I really can't imagine they'd be charging, $20 or $15 or $20 per glow set for something that's just going to be for like one singular event. So that's an issue that I had. I'm going to go straight into what they could do to make Solstice better. Ready? Literally, instead of, and this goes along with my main point, which was just make an armor set that lets me go through and do whatever I want with it. Like I said, I don't want to be forced into Gambit. I don't want to do strikes. I don't want to do that shit. I want to do 1,000 raids, and I will gladly get all of my shit done in raids because raids are uncapped loot right now, which makes them super damn fun. Let me just run them. Let me do the activity that I want, right? Additionally, a multiplicative bonus I would institute for running raids or trials back to back without going to the tower, without doing anything else. Obviously not like a timer thing, but the game already tracks where you go from point A to point B. If it was set in a way where you just went raid to raid to raid to raid or trials, and they gave you like a multiplicative bonus for doing orbs and stuff like that, you would incentivize a healthy player base for trials instead of forcing people to get 7 wins. Just have people going in, because here's the thing, you wouldn't even have to worry about AFK farming in trials because you can't go in a queue. You have to join in a fire team. So you're going to run into some of those fire teams that are gonna be like, ah, shit, we're dog shit at trials. We don't want to bother. Here's a free win, guys. Fine, whatever. Bonus, that's cool. Raids, you go back to back to back to back to back on. You just jump straight into it. And kind of like how strike playlists used to be in Destiny 1, where you used to get a loot bonus that would show up in the corner while you were flying to the next strike. You would get something like that for a raid, for how many things that you would do back to back to back. Or how about just a goddamn horde mode? Like we were talking before. How about you just open the thing and you just like let enemies come out? How about you just let me shoot a bunch of shit? The whole point of Destiny, the whole thing, and they've talked about this before, is that we're the monster killing machine. Just let me kill the fucking monsters, right? Like I don't need you to put like chests on the other side of a building so that I could like fart around up there trying to find them and going, oh boy, I'm gonna watch these before they disappear. Like I literally feel like a toddler at like a birthday party. Like I'm just like, oh, I gotta go find the prize. Like I feel stupid when I'm doing it. I don't feel like I'm using skill. I don't feel like I'm using my power level or what I've earned as a character. I just feel dumb, straight up. Like, I'm sorry. It was fun once. It's not fun a second year in a row. Like, it is not what you want to represent as a free event. A free event should just like give the best of what your game is to your free to play players and celebrate your veterans over and over again. This event does none of those things. The last thing, if you're gonna, even if it, like, let's say that you can't do like a horde mode, right? Like, let's say you can't do something like that. Prison of Elders. Bring back Prison of Elders and call that your solstice event. Get Varix out here. Let me talk to him. Let him be the vendor for solstice. And let me go run some shit in his booby-trapped dungeon prison place thing. That was cool. We liked that. It wasn't good substitution for a raid at the time, but for something like this, you know, a seasonal event that you want to get people engaged in and playing, a thing that you can do without really having to work too hard, things that don't have raid-esque mechanics so that you would have a hard time doing with blueberries. I don't know. Just bring out the Prison of Elders, right? It's there. You can bring it back in the content vault. And I'm not saying they should have done this for this time. Obviously, they don't have those assets ready. So I'm not irreverent of that. But I'm just talking about for next time. What a great damn use for the Prison of Elders. Right? Hope you're okay, Will.
Over. Is it safe?
It's over.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we're jumping into the how we fix it portion. This perk rant was brought to you by, I don't know, dude. That was some inspired, like, filibuster. That was like Patton Oswalt, Parks and Rec, Thanos' hand cut to Boba Fett in Star Wars level filibusterissimo there.
I appreciate that reference so much because I love that bit.
So
I love that bit.
For me, like, just analyzing what Solstice of Heroes is, you got two problems. One, doing the same grind as the early season for light level, which we've already established on like 6 different episodes out of 8. Sucks.
Yep.
And two, the rewards don't reflect the kind of heroes we are in Solstice of Heroes. It's a missed opportunity to, like, you want to pay tribute to people who we've lost? How about, like, or, like, make us feel rewarded as heroes of the city? Let's have interactions with people in the city. I'm not convinced that people are in the city. I'm pretty sure we might have a fucking Truman Show fucking situation going on where, like, you move X amount of distance into the skybox and then you hit a fucking wall and there's a door and then there's fucking Los Angeles outside of it or something. Like,
you're not wrong.
Like, what is actually happening? Are we these people's heroes or are we quarantined in the tower? Like, I don't know. Who knows?
There was that really cool cutscene of what's her name, Soraya Hawthorne, running through the city on like sparrows and shit like that. And that video that came out before, like that pre-rendered video that came out this summer before DT launched, where it was like Zavala when he was young, you know, when he was a guardian, kept getting rezzed. He's wearing white gear, the speakers, you know, talking shit around a campfire. Shaxx has both horns. Those moments are so cool and they're so like encouraging. Just at this point, honestly, like, even aside from my rant, even aside from I think the perfect use that Prison of Elders can have, at this point, just fucking send me back in time to just do a pre-canned.
Oh God, no!
Events.
That's when you know we've jumped the shark and they're out of ideas. Is like time travel. Fuck
like,
it.
because you don't want to know why? The most fun like pre-canned story event that I've ever had in Destiny 2 was like in recent memory, aside from hunting down the Barons. Um, it was going to find Saint 14 when you're wandering through those halls and then you hear him speaking, like you hear him
Mhm.
talking shit about the Fallen, and you go and you turn that corner, and he's got a big ass bubble, like bigger than your garden can make. And you go into the bubble and you're talking with him, and immediately there's this camaraderie because he identifies you as a guardian. He knows that you're strong. He can tell, and he's like, just help me out. Like I'm gonna give these Fallen what for. They got me pinned down, but if you're here, I could take them out.
That's where
I
we convince him
shit
to
like
to
that.
keep being a guardian. Like he is like
Yeah,
depressed
yeah.
Saint 14, and it's just like I don't
I
like we
fuck,
keep losing people. I'm giving up, and then you're just like, oh, you got this cool bubble. Let me just kill shit from your bubble.
dude. It's
So
just there's just so many opportunities.
yeah,
Like literally, you're right about that. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, give me a pre-canned event, send me back in time. Fuck that Cosmodrome event where you get given the catalyst for
Risk Runner.
Risk Runner. I was like, this is cool, man.
Yeah,
Flashback shit. Give me something.
I would love like this is a total tangent from my how to fix Solstice idea. Um, but I would love an in-game playable version like of Zavala's journey to the city, because like our original journey to the city is kind of scuffed from D1. Like you think about it, like, oh, the cities already exists, but there's magically this ship here. I want to like an MMO style like starting area, slog it to the main like meeting hub area.
Where you
But
finally get to the
anyway,
city and you see the tower and you're like, holy shit, I'm here.
yeah, like
I have arrived.
like in WoW when you start the game, it takes a while to like see the gates of Orgrimmar or like the statues outside of Stormwind. Like you start and then you go to a small city and you're just like, oh, this is cool. There's some people. But when you get to your fucking like faction hub and you see just the amazing scale of what that city is, and you're just like, holy fuck, this is an actual world of Warcraft. I want that for Destiny. I would love to see it. Yeah.
Dude, I would absolutely love it.
So
yeah.
go ahead and react to that, but then I'm going to queue up Will rant.
Sure, go for Will Run. I see Dan in the chat. Like, yeah, I completely agree with you. Combine Prison of Elders into Corridors of Time. It's a beautiful, cool little environment that they could weave into the same concept of Prison of Elders, room to room.
Yeah, that's actually that's brilliant.
I love that.
All right, here comes Will rant. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit me.
All right, so it's not as impassioned, but change up the reward structure for Solstice. Keep your base Majestics but the way that you get to base Majestics needs to be like multi pronged, I guess, like have multiple different ways to get there. Like we were saying, like just fill up the bar, that's fine. But once you reach Majestic, there needs to be a goal that really highlights what kind of guardian you are, because this is the Solstice of heroes. We talk a lot about PvE versus PvP players. Like give me a Trials glow, give me a PvP glow, give me a Gambit glow, something like put a snake on the fucking armor or something like that. Let me, if I want to continue to have a stretch goal, let me grab something that's aspirational, and then on top of that, like there are people who play this game nonstop and play everything and don't bitch about it. That needs to be rewarded. The ultimate aspirational goal needs to be like, all right, you in the Season of Triumph or the Solstice event, go flawless, complete all the raids, including the prestige mode. Fucking like reset your Gambit, whatever. Something that makes you play all of the endgame like activities. Do X amount of GM Nightfalls with a certain score. Fucking prove that you are the ultimate guardian, and then get this super aspirational gear piece that cannot be acquired in really any other sort of event that's in the game. Like there's really no other part of the game during the yearly cycle that is about completing everything that really Solstice should be about. Like reward the people who are going above and beyond the call of guardianism to like no life this game. And the difference between that and the way Majestics work now is like, yes, you're forced to be a Destiny tourist and go around every playlist and do these hard things, but the reward is just a masterwork set for one piece of like a masterworking on one piece of your armor. It's not an aspirational item like a skin or even a glow. So yeah, that and will rant.
I completely and totally agree with you. I actually think that that's a fantastic idea as well. I literally I see no issue with that whatsoever.
Mhm.
It just literally we're grasping at straws and we're literally asking for virtually anything.
Give us anything.
I even thought like forget the Guardian games having an exotic brought back to it. Like I was like, here's your opportunity. We have a long season. We push back the thing. Bring that gun back because you've at least got a lot of players playing right now than played during the last season or whatever. Because I don't have that gun. I was like, I'm not playing public events. Doing the thing like I don't care how good the exotic is. It'll come up at another point, and I'm like, I just don't care. I got
Yeah.
the class armor. I got like the Titan butt towel because it actually looks kind of cool, kind of fancy.
But you could purchase that. Like you could just buy it with silver.
Yeah, like it just didn't. Just there was nothing to it.
I regret not buying the ships because the ships look pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
they were.
Also, ships don't do anything. We've talked about that in the show a billion times. Moving on, one last Lucas point, because I did pick his brain about as deep as a COVID swab, to be honest. Is he brought up this great point about Bungie and armor sets. We now have two different armor progression systems, where the armor sets grow with you as you do activities. That inherently by itself is really good. You have Gambit Prime, and you have the Solstice event. Why is this limited to those two things? Let's keep bringing this in. Like we talk about investment in our gear and like all of the exotics we put in, just the amount of materials we put into Masterworker stuff. These are really meaningful ways to like grow with your gear that don't require like grinding GM Nightfalls for materials over and over again. And it also, prevents stuff like Forge Farm AFKing that, is just materials you burn into like armor. It makes you spend time in your gear. I think for all of the Bungie pleas that we've been doing for the entirety of this podcast, this is one thing that we really need to take the time and say Bungie's did an amazing job with the ideas of growing in this armor, and it's just stuff that we want to see more of.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's just like it comes really close, but it also just it's a swing and a big miss because I feel like almost it's I feel bad for being critical because it also feels like everything that they do, they come really close to hitting it. But when they miss, they've hit it with such gusto that it really sails far past where it's, the mark.
It's the clips from D1 of Truth going like right past the target and then going around the world and coming back and hitting.
Yep.
They'll hit it eventually.
100%.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's just like there's just so much cool gear and there's so much cool stuff that I love the idea of unlocking it all. I really do. I really love the idea of just being like, okay, I dropped this piece of gear and now I'm good. I mention Elder Scrolls all the time. Elder Scrolls Online, you unlock, you drop a piece of gear, it's yours. You can go and you can create that look again. It doesn't matter. And granted, things in an MMO like that are more of a stat stick, so your cosmetics are just your cosmetics.
That's what I mean. We're addressing the problem that's going to be solved with transmog, which is coming to Destiny.
I hope that it's going to be solved because I'll be honest with you, I'm cautiously optimistic. They've even said that they're going to make a statement based on if things are going to be safe to shard or not. Because everybody's hoping, hey, they really need to go off our collections here. I don't want to have to go and get and sit with all of the 3 sets of Mercury gear in my vault to be able to be eligible to transmog it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I don't want to go ahead and say that things are going to be fine when they do that, because they've kind of proven that there is a kind of a high chance that like they might not be fine, right? So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm hoping to hear from them. It's Thursday and there's a TWAB and it didn't really go over anything. They basically
No,
just
it just is basically. By the way, here's Solstice. It's happened, and also we fixed the Titan thing.
thank you for fixing the Titan bug quickly, because I feel like that could have been something that took until next Tuesday's reset or something like that, which is wouldn't leave me doing my other two characters. So I'm at least grateful. Yeah.
So I think that wraps up our Solstice discussion. Time to talk about the caffeines as the usual. We have our member of the week, which is Barry Freeze Pop. Alex, if you I have a special request. If you can hear this, can you just run behind Perk? Just like wave and leave.
She can't this week.
Oh shit!
Yeah, funny enough, but I think she is watching.
Okay,
so.
she is. I saw her in the chat. The reason why Barry Freeze Pop has won our member of the week is because she has been in like every one of our streams, every single one, and has been super positive and just like been in chat and hanging out. And it's always good to have our members showing up just to keep the streamers like in check. Sometimes Moose gets a little off the handle, and you gotta say what's up.
A grounding, like a central focus, a thing to come back to. For sure.
So that said, coming up on this stream right here, this Saturday I am taking off. I've got a wedding to go to. Congratulations to Rohan and Kate. So I think Lucas will be taking my spot. As well as the evening spot, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Cool. Sunday Fun Days is go, correct?
I think so. We'll tweet if it's not.
Yep. Monday comp with Lucas. We'll get a double dose of Lucas between
Lucas
here
is
and
finally back. He took a little family vacation. He's ready. He's refreshed. He's not burned out by all this other stuff. Like, there's been so much that changed. He hasn't missed a beat. So he's coming in.
Lucas is literally the Troy gif where he comes back with the pizzas and fucking
just
hit the fire.
Yep, absolutely. That's Lucas, the same level of just like happiness and joy. And yeah, everything's on fire.
Yep.
110%.
Your reset stream is still go for Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm always resetting.
And then we've got Wednesday, Moosable with the Crucible Queen herself. As always, guys, the stream here at Caffeines is a Twitch affiliate, and we would really love your support. If you've got Twitch Prime, please feel free to drop. It's not
Prime
Twitch Gaming yet. It's not Prime. It's not Prime Gaming yet.
Oh,
that was a leak.
Oh,
you've ruined this.
They sent me the message on Twitch.
Okay, whatever. It's not whatever. Point is, if you have Amazon Prime, you can drop a sub here on this channel. It supports us. It helps immensely with the cost of us growing, not only as a content clan, but also just as a group of people who want to play with you. That said, we are also opening up our Discord. I believe the ! Discord command is open.
Hit it. If you want to join us, hit it. We are opening up the doors to you. If you're looking for a group of people that you want to play with, that you don't want to feel like you're walking into just a random LFG and kind of hoping that you're going to make a connection, ! Discord, join the Caffeine's crew.
All right.
We have a command literally set up for that. Literally not just going to bring you in and like have you hope for the best with PvE. We want to play with you. We want to take you through raids, all of the other good stuff, and actually be a solidified like team together. You know what I mean?
And if you want to play with us also, feel free to seek us out via Twitter. I'm at Will Produces. That's at PerkFGC. And if you're listening, now is a great time to subscribe to us on Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you can find podcasts such as Anchor. Honestly, I'm not really sure how many places we are distributed at, but we're at most of them. We're on Spotify. We have an audio version going up. We have a video version that hits the YouTube 24 hours after the stream goes down. Following us there really supports us as well, so that we can go out to multiple channels and bring you different kinds of content. Final thoughts, Perk?
Final thoughts. I love the concept of a summer event, but it does not feel like a summer event. To me, summer is good vibes, kicking back and doing something that's really fun, whether it be repetitive or not. This feels like summer chores.
Oh,
This feels like I need to restain the deck.
you're
or I
gonna
need
end
to
the
go
show
power
on a negative thought? How dare you?
Yeah,
How
I'm gonna end this
dare
on a
you,
negative
sir?
thought. You know what? 'Cause these are honest thoughts. They're raw, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, and I'm not gonna backtrack to something because I just might as well keep it
Perk is
keep it
giving
on
you
the roll.
takes like he takes his coffee, no sugar. Um,
Nothing.
just straight cold brew concentrate, not even water.
Straight cold brew and ice, like my soul.
Oh, okay. So for me,
Fine.
my final thoughts are hey, you should join our clan. It's great and we love you and we want to play games with you. I feel like I had another thing to announce.
No, you don't.
Didn't we?
No.
What do we? Okay, go watch.
Before you ad lib another commercial, I'm canceling it.
Okay, well, shit.
Announcement canceled.
Ad read gone. So yeah, the show is over, guys. We'll see you next week.